guys, it's Teresa here of Larkin Design, and welcome to my studio space and welcome to my album collection. And so today I am starting on a new project with you, and I thought I would share a little bit about what I'm doing in this regard. If you follow Becky Higgins at beckyhiggins.com, you can follow along with what she's been doing with her kids' scrapbooks. Her kids' names are Claire and Porter, and she's been sharing recently about how she's organizing their photos and scrapbooks and their her kids' artwork and things like that. And of course, this is something that's always in my realm of awareness because we have 4 kids, and 2 of them are biologically mine. And so Nick and Natalie, they have scrapbooks and they have scrapbook layouts from pretty much from the day they were born. And then we have Addison and Emberlyn who don't have any scrapbooks yet. And so I'm working to change that and working to get all of our kids' albums in some form of organization and on a path, so that when they leave here, that they will leave here with some albums about themselves and that contain some of their stories as we're able to tell them. So where I'm starting is, for me, when it's a big project like this, you know, you always bite off the elephant a little bit at a time and take the easiest bite first. The easiest bite for me is Nick's albums. He has these 3 right here, and these 2 here are his. And so he has 5 albums, and although interestingly enough, some of the layouts in his albums may or may not be layouts that necessarily belong in his albums. They were the only albums I was keeping, so anything I did about our family or anything I did about family excursions or whatever, they went in his albums. And then when Natalie came along, the same thing, some of our family outings and things like that went into her albums. And so what I know that I want to do is I want to take all those layouts out and reorganize them so that they get kind of a fair, I guess, representation of what our life was like before the divorce and before we came into this family. And so it kind of actually gives me some peace about it, because I don't have any particular feelings about the layouts about our family the way it used to be. They're not particularly relevant to me, but they are relevant to Nick and Natalie because that's their family and that's part of their story. So I want them to have those layouts about our families. I just need to organize them better. And I also had, with Natalie, she was born in 2007, and so her albums, in terms of scrapbook history, her albums are from 2007, 2008, and 2 of them are fabric bound, and like this one it's sort of looking dingy, and one of them is post bound. Let me put that over there. One of them is post bound, and I have like 2 or 3 that are post bound. And I'm not a real fan. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a real fan of post-bound albums. And I've found that I'm definitely not really a fan of fabric albums. Obviously, they're 8, 9 years old now, so it's okay that they show a little bit of wear. But I went ahead and I purchased for her just 3 pink Becky Higgins Project Life albums. They're the faux leather, and so I want to just reorganize her layouts particularly and get those into a good set of albums for her so that I can put that to rest. I also have some of her artwork upstairs. We just went through all of the kids' artwork last weekend together. Alan and I went through it all together and figured out what we're keeping. So everybody has a nice stack upstairs. I'll be sharing that with you guys too. And I think because most of the artwork is not dated, and so I think what we're going to do is we're just going to put some of the artwork in the back of each album. And dates are nice, but like, don't get hung up on that. Don't stress out if you don't know exactly what the dates are. Just put them in there and let them be what they are, and be okay with that. That's totally fine. It would have been fantastic if I could have been a tremendously organized mom at that time in our life, but I wasn't able to focus on that. So now I can focus on it. So I'm going to start here with Natalie's albums today. What I want to do is take all these layouts out and arrange them into the piles. And probably for now I'm going to do piles of Nick, piles of Natalie, and then piles of family. And then separate the family layouts into both piles for each of them and do a sort of, try to do something chronological. So I'll come back after I have that done, and then don't despair, I'm not just focusing on Natalie. Once I get her albums straightened out, then I'll share with you what we're doing. I think we'll be doing Addison's albums next, and then after that we'll do Emberlin's, and so you'll get to see parts of the whole process, and then hopefully have them, you know, obviously this is an ongoing project because they are ages 13, 12, 12, and 9 right now, about to be 10. So, but I want to have them at a good place so that from here on out we have a degree of a certain degree of a direction, at least for the next couple of years. So stay with me and we'll get started. Okay, so the next step here, I've got everything taken out of the albums, and have sort of consolidated where I could, and it actually worked out a little bit easier than I had thought, because it turns out that I had one whole album of Natalie's that actually it's this album right here, and this is actually all her infant layouts. So these are all about her. They're her birth layouts, and these are layouts created specifically for her, about her. And so I'm leaving these the way they are. I'm going to transfer them into one of the new albums, so that there's consistency with the albums, but I'm going to leave these intact. They go from about newborn to maybe 2. I don't know exactly for sure. Yeah, 21 months old. So these are layouts that I feel can just stay the way they are. And I'm happy with that. So other than moving those into the new album, I'm not going to do anything with those. The same with Nick. I have the two black albums right there. Those are his baby layouts. Similar to what I did here. They're newborn to about a year, and I'm leaving those intact. I'm not going to change anything about those or add those. I'm not going to move those into a different album. And then the next layouts I had for him were preschool. And I ended up realizing that for the 2 years that he was in preschool, they both fit into one album. And they're, I'll do closer walkthroughs later on, don't worry. But I was able to get some of his artwork in these, and some of the class photos in this album. And I'm going to leave this album the way it is. I don't have any plans right now to replace his albums. I'm going to just leave them the way they are. So he now has 3 complete albums that are done, that I'm not going to do anything to unless I have some other layouts or something that I want to fill in, some gaps maybe, but I don't have to. I think that there's a good amount of layouts for him. I think there's a good amount of layouts for Natalie for her first 2 years right here. What I am left with are these 2 stacks. I have this stack here of layouts. These are all double page or mostly double page layouts, and they are mostly about both Nick and Natalie together. And so that's one pile, and then I also have this second pile, and these are also mostly 2-page layouts, but they're specifically Nick layouts, I think. And again, I just have to go through, and I found in some instances, right, that I had actually done 2 layouts. Look how cool that is, right? I found in some instances I had actually done 2 layouts. There's one Halloween that I did 1 layout for Nick and 1 layout for Natalie. That is awesome, right? And that was my ideal at that time, back in 2009 and 2010. That was my ideal, was to take every event or the events that I was scrapping and to do 1 layout for Nick and 1 layout for Natalie, put them in their albums and be done. And that's a great strategy if you have endless amounts of time. And I also have come to realize, one of the biggest things that I've come to realize is that each of us experiences life in different ways. Even the same events and the same holidays and the same schools and the same bus rides, we all experience these things in different ways. And so this idea that all 4 kids could have 4 of the exact same albums isn't really telling the truth to me. I think that's great when people do that, and I think that there are times when it's okay to give the same album, like if you're doing photo books and you're telling an overall story of an overall event or an overall holiday or something like that. That's entirely appropriate to print the same book or create the same book times 3 or times 8 for your families. But these albums are really about their life, and I feel should focus on each one of them. And so I'm okay with every one of them being different or unique in some way. And I'm also okay with having the layouts be in different formats too. These layouts are traditional scrapbook layouts because that's what I was able to do at the time, and that's what I enjoyed doing. Now, I don't have the kind of time to put in. They're lovely, and I love every one of them, and I'm so proud of every one of them. And I remember every detail, just being really focused on every detail and every embellishment, every title, just lovingly curated. And I still am lovingly curating my layouts, but most of them are in pocket pages. And that's okay. So there are this series of layouts from years ago that are traditional 12 by 12 and double pages, and then today the layouts look more like pocket pages, and I'm okay with that, right? Because times change and our abilities change as far as how much time we have, how many children I have has changed, right? When you add 2 children into your reality of trying to photograph and organize and print and scrapbook and have time to create layouts, then you have to be more efficient about it. And that's okay. I think it's just important to have these albums to give to them and to be able to share with them all of their pieces of their identity together. So what my next step is to go through these two stacks again and figure out who's getting what. I've talked about that a little bit because they are layouts that feature both of them. And like, oh, I thought I was being so clever, They're like almost equally represented on the layout, but how do you decide? How do you decide who gets what? And one of my strategies for that is to say, okay, some of the things that I've photographed year after year, for example, the pumpkin patch, I've photographed that year after year. And so 2009 pumpkin patch will probably go to Nick, and 2010 pumpkin patch can go to Natalie. And just sort of, it doesn't have to be equal, it doesn't have to be even, but maybe just sort of figure it out that way. In the end, I don't think that they're going to look at each other's albums and go, oh, I wish I had that layout, you got that layout. I hope that they won't. And, there's always the capability of scanning and printing them off that way later on down the road. I don't feel led to do that. I wish that I could photograph all of these. I don't think it would be that hard to photograph all of these now that I have the equipment and cameras and the setup to photograph these. It wouldn't be that hard. But I don't feel that that's where my time needs to be invested today. I think my time needs to be invested in getting these put into albums, finishing up these loose ends and getting these to where I feel happy about them, and then move on to Addison and Emberlin's albums. So I am going to work on that, and then I'll come back, and when I come back I'll be over at my desk at my worktop, and I'll share with you how some of these albums and layouts ended up working out. So you can see some of the walkthrough. I don't think I'm going to walk through every album because it's a lot. It's going to end up being about 7 full albums at this stage, just for Nick and Natalie. But I know you want to see some of it, and I do want to show you some of these layouts. You'll enjoy that. So hang with me, we'll get there. Okay, so just coming back to you here after sorting through the family layouts and deciding which ones go where. And so this is what I ended up with. Of course, remember I have 4 albums for Nick already that are already full. So I went light on what I have appropriated for him. And so this is his stack of what I've decided to add to his albums. And then this is the stack for Natalie for her second album. So she's going to have this one as her baby album, and then this one, this stack goes 2000, a couple from 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that's just what I have. That, like, there's 2 from 2012 and maybe 4 from 2011 and more as it goes to 2008. And I'm not really worried about quantity per year or whatever at this point. There are, I know, some gaps. Like, I think they should have layouts about each of their birthdays. And I discovered I only have layouts about 2 or 3 of her birthdays. so that's something I want to focus on. I know some of her birthdays are in Project Life albums, so that's okay, but I think they should be represented in her books too. So that's something that I have to figure out and think about down the road in the future. But for now, I know this is a good album, right? And a good collection of layouts from 2008 to 2012 for her, and then finish up these for Nick, and then these two will be done for now, and I feel like I can put them on the shelf. I can put them on the shelf and work on the other two kids for a while and get their albums into a good place. So I'm gonna put all these away, and then I will go to the worktop and do an album share for you.